what's happening, Secret Beachcombers? How are you? It is I, the Big Kahuna, Jason T. Smith. What is shaking? What's going on? Time for another Typhoon, and this is, I think, our first part 2 of a Typhoon. I think you're our first return guest there, John.
Because I talk too much.
No, I wasn't going to say that, but okay. So, this is going to be awesome, especially if people join after this. I'll have the link to both together. So John has already taught us, basically what to look for. Now he's going to tell us how to sell it. So it's going to be one big badass Typhoon when all is said and done. So I'm going to just stop yammering right away and let John talk. So, ladies and gentlemen, beachcombers of all ages, welcome John Miller, our Popeye's postcard man. What's happening, John? How are you, buddy?
Thank you for having me back again. I love talking about postcards, and again, I could go on for hours more than what I'm going to talk about today. This is going to be part 2. And again, John Miller, that's Popeye's Postcards at AOL.com if you need to reach me, and Spinning Cheater on eBay. So go ahead and Jason, hit the next slide. So that's just who I am. That was from the last slide. About 18,000 postcards on eBay right now. Sell about 6,000 a year. I do have a YouTube channel, Popeye's Postcards, that I also talk about postcards on. 518 days till I can do this full time. Go ahead, Jason.
No, but he's not counting, ladies and gentlemen.
I can tell you the seconds now too. So the first part we talked about, why selling postcards, what to look for, what to avoid. And today we're going to talk about where to find them. And when you find them, you got to sort them, take pictures and price and list and all the storage and inventory and shipping, selling on other sites and tools and resources that we're going to talk about throughout the presentation. So everybody knows the fun of all this is finding them. That's fun for me too, but I actually like listing. I do enjoy listing and selling aspect of this. So go ahead, Jason. So where to source? Probably one of the easiest ones, grandma's house. If you have a family member who has postcards and maybe they've passed on, see if you can get those postcards. If there's no sentimental attachment to them, see if you can sell them. Go to yard sales. Craigslist, I just bought a collection of 10,000 postcards from a person in New Jersey about a month ago, and got them for about 6 cents each. Sold one postcard out of that lot for $125. So it's going to be very profitable. So look on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and antique malls. The problem with antique malls, it could be expensive, but the good part about that is you get to cherry pick. You already have the knowledge of what to look for. Now you can cherry pick out of those cards. Next slide, Jason.
Hey, real quick, do you use, have you bought any on OfferUp or Let Go or any of those other ones?
No, I look, but I've been unable to find any in those on those sites. So when you go to antique malls, you're going to find some dealers that have display like this. I tend to avoid these just because if they took this much time to display them all pretty like that, they're probably going to be out of my price range. And the good thing is I can view these quickly and know that there's nothing on that I'm gonna flip, even if it's 50 cents or $1. I probably won't flip it. Go ahead, Jason. Just another view of an antique mall vendor. I would probably spend some time on this. $1 each is probably a good price. Quarter would be better, but there might be some gems in here for $1. Go ahead, Jason. And you're also going to find this, just a whole hodgepodge of paper items. I would spend time looking through this. There might be some gems. So look in antique malls. Go ahead, Jason. Live auctions. I'm not sure if you've heard of auctionzip.com, but it pulls all the live auctions that are in your area. I go to those quite often if I search for postcards on their search function. You can also go to postcard clubs. I don't have a list of all the postcard clubs in the United States, but all you need to do is Google postcard clubs and you should be able to find them. And then postcard shows, probably one of the best places to buy postcards. Go ahead, Jason. These are just going to be, this is a listing, postalhistory.com. You go on that site and they will show you every upcoming postcard show in the United States. And you could probably find one almost every weekend. I'm actually going to one next weekend. I'm really excited to go to. So postalhistory.com, look for a postcard show. and attend one. Mostly sometimes they're free, sometimes they might be $3 to $4 to $5, but relatively inexpensive. Okay, Jason.
A lot of parties at the postcard shows.
No, you'll see from the picture here that at 50, I'm probably one of the youngest people going to postcard shows. It's usually in a gym or an auditorium, one of the hotel conference rooms, but it's very laid back. Everybody's sitting down, looking through these boxes of postcards. You can just keep flipping there, Jason. Just another view. You might get 15 to sometimes 50 or 60 vendors, but very laid back. And right there's probably 1 million plus cards there easily. It's very overwhelming. Go ahead, next slide there, Jason. And just another view of, you can see a lot of older people at these shows. So go ahead, Jason. So if you go to a postcard show, expect to be there all day. What I do, and again, I should premise all this. This is what works for me when I'm buying postcards to sell on eBay. I concentrate on the 25-cent to $1 boxes, just because they're 25 cents or $1. That's what I look for. Those are my price points. Or if I want to venture into more expensive cards, I have my BOLO list, which I still need to post to the site with all the towns and topics that I know sell very well that I buy. But the thing is, everybody has their own idea of what sells. You'll see later in the slides, I found a postcard in a $1 box that I ended up selling for over $120, that hundreds and hundreds of people probably just passed by and didn't think that it was worth anything. And I bought it for $1 and recognized the value and sold it for over 100. At the postcard shows, most of the dealers, I think, are only going to be, they're older. We're talking 70s and older. And they only sell at shows, or they sell through like a mail order service. I was just at a antique show, the DC Big Flea, last weekend, and I spent some time talking to a postcard dealer. He was in his 70s and he had no clue about eBay. He just doesn't sell on eBay. So I told him I was going to buy some of his postcards and flip them for $15 and $20 that I bought from him for $2 and $3. If you go and you saw that there's a whole bunch of white boxes that we store postcards in, take a pen, a marker, Sharpie marker, different color Sharpie marker, and you can just write your initials on those white boxes. And that way, when you're going through 15 and 20 quarter boxes all day, you don't want to start repeating into the quarter boxes that you've already gone through. And like I said, be prepared to be overwhelmed. Millions of cards at these shows. You're going to be going through, probably 30-some thousand cards in the course of a day. So just be prepared to be overwhelmed. Also, price can be subjective. What to me is a $10 card is a quarter or a $20 card to someone else. So you can usually haggle for the price, and most places do have a standard discount. You buy $20, we'll give you 10% off. Go ahead, Jason. And eBay. This is one of my favorite places to source because I run into sellers that don't know what they have. So go ahead, Jason. Currently, this slide's a little old, but I think there's like 3.6 million postcards currently listed on eBay. So there's a lot to pick from out there. Go ahead, Jason. What I search for on eBay is I look for, I click onto it's under collectibles, postcards, and I search under postcards, and I'll look for lot. Huge lot, large lot, massive lot, big lot. Put those in parentheses so you narrow your search down to those keywords. I also look for collection by itself. I look for pounds and then LBS, then lot over, more than, box of. I don't put anything else just because I'm staying under the postcard category. That's what I'm looking for. I'll also type album. And then sometimes I'll just type in 500 or 1,000 because some people don't put a lot of 1,000 postcards. They'll just put 1,000 postcards. And then I'll look for shoebox because some people just say shoebox of cards, something like that. And so I'm trying to find all these listings that have massive quantities of postcards. Go ahead, Jason. So what do I look for? I look for average cost per card. I'm trying to buy these cards as cheap as possible. So if you get 1,000 cards for $260 for shipping, that's 26 cents a card. That's pretty good. If you just see a stack and they don't count them, 100 postcards usually weighs right about a pound. It might be 105 cards at a pound or 95 cards for a pound, but normally about 100 cards per pound, and it's usually about 1.5 inches tall. One of those standard storage boxes, one of these usually holds about 700 postcards. One of these shoe totes like this usually holds 500 plus postcards. And then an album could be anywhere from 25 postcards up to 600. Some of those albums are real thick. Go ahead, Jason. So in the title, what I look for is what kind of postcards. It's a mix. Usually going to see a mix of USA and foreign cards. USA cards are going to sell for more and higher amounts than foreign cards. Sometimes in the title, they'll put no chrome, or there's undivided back, divided back, real photo postcards, white border, linen, something like that. Hopefully the seller has really good pictures. So make sure you use the zoom function on the pictures. And if you're not sure, when you pull up the gallery, if you right click on a picture, it should come up with an option menu, and there'll be an option of open image and new tab. I always do that, and that'll blow that picture up really big. And then there'll be like a little plus or minus sign. You can even make that picture bigger. And I use that to really look at the individual cards in the pictures. And when I'm looking at them, I'll start researching the cards I can see. But you got to be careful, because you're going to find postcard sellers dumping their junk cards. I haven't done that. I'm going to start vending at postcard shows and get rid of what I don't think are good cards to sell on eBay. I'm going to sell them for $0.25 at a postcard show. Except for, well, I'll save that. Oh, let's do this real quick, Jason. Want to do a quick giveaway right now?
Sure. Prizes. Who wants to win a prize in the chat? Hey, everybody.
I'll let you sell that up. How about if we give away some postcard thank you cards from eBay to the first person who tells us what I think is the biggest Sarah in the postcard world. Jason has the Tiki Sarahs. Postcard world has Sarahs also. And if someone tells me first person to say what that is.
So what is the biggest Sarah in the postcard world? I know it's not going to be postcards at tiki bars. That's for damn sure. Speaking of, while we're waiting for an answer, I want to thank you for the new goodies.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, we'll talk about. I'm going to use you as an example later.
All right.
Yes. Looks like someone got it already.
So although Stephanie came in first, and she is down the hall in my house staying over tonight, and she's helped me out on things. Steph, I'm sorry, you are disqualified, so Chris wins.
Excellent.
But Steph, I'll buy you a drink later. There's your bonus prize. You got it, Chris. You got it, Chris R. So drop me and or John a note to get your notes.
Yeah, we'll get you. They're eBay postcards is what they call them. So. But anyway, you got to be careful of sellers dumping their junk cards. So what I do is I check their current listings and their sold listings. Go ahead, click, Jason. So here's a seller. This is probably one of the largest postcard sellers on eBay. I think she is. Nice lady. I've talked to her before. She has almost 77,000 postcards listed. So here she's selling a lot of 1,000 cards. And right below it, you see a card that she's trying to sell for $3.16. So you can't tell me that in that 1,000 postcard lot that there's aren't cards that she could not sell on eBay. So I avoid her. So that's what you got to look for. See if it's a postcard seller dumping their junk. So next slide, Jason. Here's another one, and I've run into this guy before. You'll just note the item location, Mountain View, California. So they're selling a group of 1,200 postcards. Go ahead, click, Jason. Cardcal.com, one of the largest internet dealers. He has his own website, and he's from Mountain View, California. So I highly suspect that Cardcal.com is dumping the cards he can't sell on his internet site on eBay. So possibly. I I avoid buying from those type of sellers because I have a feeling I'm just getting junk. Go ahead, Jason. Let me see. So what I do is I check their current and sold listings. I search their old feedback for postcards. You can hit Control F on your keyboard and it brings up a search function, and I pull up their feedback and I just type in postcards and just go back. Sometimes I go back 6 months to a year and see if they were a postcard seller selling individual cards, now selling bulk lots. You could also get into changing your zip code to see if there's a identical seller or another seller in the same zip code as that bulk lot selling individual cards. Not perfect, but sometimes you might be able to find another or the seller selling under a second ID under their zip code. And then also be wary of unsearched lots. Go ahead, Jason. So here's a huge vintage estate fine postcard collection, unsearched lot, 20 pounds, which is about 2,000 cards. And it looks like about 2,000 cards, $179. Go ahead and click it, Jason. Here's the same seller selling that huge lot of unsearched postcards, and he's a postcard dealer. Again, you're not telling me, you can't tell me that this guy has not searched through that lot and cherry picked out. So I avoid that. Go ahead, Jason. This just an example of me sourcing on eBay. This is a lot I won, about 2 months ago. I paid around $23 for this lot. Just vintage lot of postcards worldwide. Go ahead and click, Jason. So I use the search function, or that blow up the picture function, and I see, go ahead, click, Jason. I see these postcards here, and I can tell they're real photo postcards. It's of, I think, Moro warriors. And I did a quick internet search of what's a Moro warrior. And I found out that they're native Filipino, from the Philippines, warriors from probably like the 30s or 40s, or when these postcards were from. Go ahead, Jason. So I won this lot, and there were probably, I think there were 10 of these warrior postcards in that lot that I paid a total of $23 for. So these postcards cost me, I think, around 23 cents each. I listed them all for $99. Some were like $57 or something like that. Most were $99. One I listed for $150. Go ahead, Jason. And one buyer bought 9 of these postcards for a total of $575.
Nice.
Just because I took the time and researched the pictures. So just a really good score there. So that's, look at the pictures and research. If you're going to buy lots on eBay, research the pictures, the cards in the pictures that you're looking to buy. Go ahead, Jason. But it's always best to physically, pick up the postcards and hold them in your hand and say, oh yeah, this is a good card, instead of trying to buy them on the internet. You get to cherry pick what you want. You may pay a little bit more, but you get to pick what you want. And I don't have all winners like that. I do buy duds, but anyway, go ahead, Jason. So sorting, why are we going to sort? It's to make listing easier and quicker in the long run. You want to break down those huge, that huge box of postcards. You want to break that down and cherry pick out the best cards that you want to sell immediately. And you want to take out the junk cards like Niagara Falls, and throw them away, shred them. And what I do when I get a brand new box of postcards in the mail, I go through them relatively quickly, and I cherry pick out ones that I know are going to sell from my first session. All the cards that I tell you to look for, the real photos, the really nice views of streets, stuff like that. And then I'll probably set them aside. And then later, sometimes years later, I'll do a second pick through them, and I'll just pick out any other cards that I think are probably going to be $5 plus. And then all the rest of the junky cards that are left over, I'll put them in lots. And like I said, I'm going to vend them at postcard shows. Go ahead, Jason.
So my question to you at this point is, each week on Thrifty Business, I do my duds of the week, and you have a YouTube channel about postcards. How about have a weekly ceremonial burning of all the Niagara Falls postcards?
I should. I'm getting, like I said, I'm going to have probably, after I get done sorting these, I'm going to have several thousand Niagara Falls cards, and I'm going to put them on eBay just to see if I can get rid of them. I'd be interested to see if anybody's interested.
Or maybe like 1 week burn them, the next week shoot them with a gun, the next flush them down the toilet.
That'll be my closing segment. So again, why do we sort? Or I'm sorry, how do I sort? What I do is I sort by state, and then I'll sort by topics, and then also foreign countries. Go ahead, Jason. You can see on the screen, and actually you can see right behind me, that's my sorting station. When I get I'll just grab a box of cards that I've already gone through, and I'll just like a postman, putting all the states in there. These are shoe cubbies. You can get them, I don't know, $40-$50 at any home improvement store. I got these off of Craigslist, I think $10 each. They're, like I said, normally $40-$50. There's a smaller one down in the bottom. I think that's a 12 slot one. It just worked out, 25 slots per each of those, 50 states. Worked out great. Go ahead, Jason. If you just have, a handful to sort, you can just take a tub, and I've already started some of the cards I've bought recently at the antique malls and at the postcard show. I've already started sorting. So you just get some tabs, write the states on them, and away you go. You can just sort that way. I'll usually do that and watch television. Go ahead, Jason. Let's talk about pictures. You don't need an expensive top load scanner. I have one because forever I was taking pictures, and really that suited me fine. I could do about 250 postcards in an hour. My scanner will do 250 postcards in under 10 minutes, front and back, and the quality is so much better. But you don't need that. You can use your digital camera. You can use your cell phone. You just need good lighting and a background. And what I used to use, and sometimes I still will, is a school folder. Go ahead, Jason. I'm sure you've seen these. You get them at Walmart probably for 10, 15 cents. What I do is I just slice them right down the middle, and then I end up folding them. Use black or white. I know eBay likes white, but sometimes cards show up better on black, but nothing too bright. Go ahead, Jason. These are some of my old pictures before the scanner. The one on the left, the maroon, not that bad, but the red and the green on the right side, that's just atrocious. And it just throws off the color of the card. So I don't stay away from bright colors. Okay, Jason. Just a simple setup. There's a black folder, put the card on there. I needed better lighting on this because I should have had a light coming in from the other side. Tape that folder down to your desk, put something behind it to hold it up, and you can just really rock and roll with a cheap camera. That's a, I don't know, $50, 12 megabyte pixel, something or other. So that's an easy way. If you only have a couple hundred, you don't need to go out and buy a scanner. You can just do it this way. Go ahead, Jason. But scanners pictures are have much better quality, I think. It scans front and back quickly. Go ahead, Jason. These next couple slides are just some examples of scanned cards. They look so much better. Go ahead, Jason. You can just keep clicking through. Another click. I think the quality is better, except for the real photos. Sometimes they have like a pinkish tint that my scanner gives them, a pinkish orange tint to them, and I haven't figured out how to fix that. And you can see on Amazon, they're kind of expensive. I think mine was $250, but it's paid for itself many times over. I've put 20,000 cards plus through my scanner, and it's performed very, very well. So when this one dies, I'll buy another one in a heartbeat. Go ahead, Jason. You could use the bad thing about the scanner top load, they're expensive. It will not damage postcards, but there are some postcards that cannot be scanned. Some of that may have like an attachment to it. You can't run that through the scanner. And I don't like to really run cards. Some cards, they have like a glitter on them. I don't like running that because it could scratch the lens. You could use a flatbed scanner, but it's going to be slow, and you're still going to have to manipulate and crop the photos, and then you're going to have to flip them over and do the backside. So flatbed can be done, but it's just, I think, expensive, or it's just too slow. Go ahead, Jason.
So real quick, before we go too far from it, Chris R had a question. Would paper crafters want a big lot of, like, let's say, Niagara Falls postcards?
Yes, they could. And I may put that in the title. I do that with when I do like generic Christmas cards and generic Easter cards. There's nothing interesting about them. No dressed bunnies. It's just generic looking card. I'll put those together, and I will put crafting in the title when I list those. There's also something called, I think it's called cross posting. It's where it's still a thing, almost like a pen pal, where these people still send postcards to each other. And I think it's called post crossing. I think that's the name of it. But some people, that one lot that we saw from the huge eBay seller, she may have had post crossing in her title on some of these lots. So she's trying to appeal. There's no really value in them as trying to sell it individually postcard, but there's value in people who send out a lot of postcards, people who still, enter sweepstakes and stuff like that. You could still use them for that. So, next slide. Good thing about pictures for postcards, you only need 2 pictures, front and back. Sometimes I'll throw a 3rd picture in there if I want to show off the stamp or the cancel, or if there's something very interesting about the front of the card, usually like a real photo, maybe of a street view, and I want to get in really close on a street scene, and I might do a 3rd picture. Go ahead. So setting a starting price. Now, some of this, again, may just be basic. This is what works for me. I personally start probably 99% of my postcards at auction because I have an Anchor Source subscription, and I get 1,000 free auction listings every month. So that's 1,000 free card listings. It's only going to be up for a week, but I'm trying to get as much. You can't sell it if it's not on eBay, so I'll list it as an auction. But you make sure you set a starting price that you'd be happy with if you only get that one bidder. Never do a 99-cent or lower auction. Go ahead, Jason. And I don't want to pick, if this is you, I really don't want to pick on you, but I just want an explanation of how you can sell a postcard for a penny, offer free shipping. How you making money? I don't understand this. So, I probably would have listed the same postcard for, I don't know, $5 with free shipping, but I don't know how they're doing this. Go ahead, Jason. Another one here, a 99-cent auction, 240 souvenir album postcards. I write right there, I know 240 cards. That's going to ship at just the cards alone's over 2 pounds. So it's going to ship 3 pounds. And then if it's in an album, that could add another pound. So, economy shipping, 1030, it's not going to ship economy unless it's some other, shipping method I'm not aware of. It's probably going to have to go, I guess it could go, I can't think of the name of it right now. But anyway, they're not making a whole bunch of money on this at all. I actually just bought a lot the other day, like 450 real photo postcards of Italy and some other countries for a penny, 1 penny. And I just bid on it just to see if I could win it for 1 penny. And I won it for a penny. Shipping was $13, and they sent it priority mail. So that person made 0 money on that. So don't start at 99 cents.
No, waste of time.
Waste of time, exactly. I'm happy because they were terrific.
Oh, yeah, good for you.
But that's what I look for. Next slide. Let me see. What I do is, I auction. I do almost auctions, all auctions, but auction items or auction postcards, if you can't find any comps and you don't know the value, throw it at an auction, but still aim high. I personally like to do Sunday to Sunday. That's just my preference. Go ahead, Jason. If it's a special card, I'll start at a 10-day auction and go Thursday to Sunday and expect, I usually sell about 10% of my cards. So if I list 1,000 postcards, 100 of them are going to sell at auction. Out of those 100 that sell at auction, maybe 20 or 30 are going to have multiple bidders. Again, I'm just using up my free listings. I already set it at a price I'm very happy with. If it goes at auction for much higher, I'm much, much happier. And then I'll still relist. I'll relist those ones that don't sell. I increase it by 25% over auction price because, again, I'm already happy with what it's listed at. If I get 25% more, I'm again happier. The cards that I start at as straight off as buy it nows are cards that I might have multiple quantities of, or they're not selling. And normally I have some $1.99 cards that I'm just trying to get rid of, but mostly I'm going to be $5.99, includes free shipping. And then after 30 days, with the ones I've relisted after an auction and the ones I just started buying now, I'll usually add best offer. And then I do just 30-day listings. And after everybody had those snafus with the good till cancel pictures, I'm glad I do 30-day listings. Now it sucks. Every month I'm relisting 18,000 postcards, which takes me about an hour, but it's just my preference. I think I get much better sales right before they end, and I get terrific sales when I relisted them. So again, that's my preference. Your mileage may vary. Go ahead, Jason.
So Angela says, when you said aim high, well, it's aim high. But I mean, that's a tough question to say without a specific, because I always say aim high, but within realistic highs, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't put this mug for $1 million, but I would aim higher than the norm.
Yeah, if that postcard's usually a $6 postcard, maybe eight listed for $8. So, research. I always do eBay completed. If I can't find something there, I'll look on WorthPoint, and then I'll also look at other postcard sellers, those internet stores. Go ahead, Jason. So here's our good friend Card Cow again. He has probably 500,000 cards listed. So I'll look on his site see if he has that card listed. Go ahead, Jason. Oldpostcards.com. I think he says he has 1 million cards on the internet, something like that. I'll look at his site, see if he has anything listed for the town or the city or topic that I'm listing. Go ahead. Some other places to look, other postcard selling platforms. We'll talk about these a little bit toward the end. Delcamp.com, delcamp.net, hippostcard.com, which I also sell on, plail.com, and you could always, we're talking about researching to set a starting price. You can always Google the title of the postcard itself. This next postcard that's coming up, go ahead, Jason. I got this, I spent a whole dime on this postcard, and I bought it because a couple of reasons. One is that it's really neat. It caricatures of two men dressed as chickens and they're fighting. But also, as I said in that my first training, that racial taboos topics sell. So here, black and white in a finished fight. So I just thought, there's a black chicken fighting a white chicken, just cool on it in and of itself as a postcard. But I couldn't find anything on it as this was. So I just Googled the words black and white in a finished fight. And go ahead, Jason. It came up with this Google search. Found out that it's a boxing. This was the title of the internet page I found. Boxing related Jack Johnson, James Jeffries comic cockfighting vintage postcards. And there was a whole series of this 1906 or so fight between Jack Johnson and James Jeffries. Big, huge boxing match. Go ahead, Jason. So I started doing WorthPoint search just to try to figure out what value to put on this card. The most recent one sold for $20, an earlier one sold for 81, but none of them really had a great title on there. Go ahead, Jason. So what I did was I kind of meshed all those titles, and I turned my 10-cent investment into a $100 purchase, just because I took the time to, do the research on exactly what black and white in a finished fight meant. So you got to do the research. Go ahead, Jason. So when I research, I look for the exact view. So it would be, I don't know, Johnstown, Pennsylvania, Main Street. So I'll go on eBay under postcards and I'll look Johnstown, PA, Main Street. If I don't find anything under Johnstown, PA, Main Street, then I'll look under Johnstown itself, and just to see what other Johnstown cards are selling for. And I'll do the same thing with an artist. If artist signed postcards, just to see what that artist is selling for or that topic is selling for. Go ahead, Jason. Just as an example, I may have shown this before during one of the other shows I did for you. Magdalena, New Mexico is an air view of a railroad depot. Go ahead, Jason. When I started doing the research on WorthPoint, I'm sorry, this is eBay. I couldn't find that exact view, but so what I did was I searched Magdalena, New Mexico, and the top one was about sheep, pen sheep that was someone's trying to sell for $60. The next one's my other listing that I didn't have listed at the time, but the next couple were about hunting, deer, and yeah, hunting deer. So nothing really matched my view to see, get a good idea of what I should set my price at. So go ahead, Jason. I clicked on Worth Point, and I searched it in Worth Point, Magdalena, and they're kind of all over the place. The first one's really just a far away view of the town. I don't know why it sold for $130, but the next one down, there was a postcard, a bird's eye view of the town. I thought that was the closest one. So what I did is I just split the difference really between the two postcards, and it ended up selling for $80. So if you can't find the exact view, find something from that town that's very similar, and then go accordingly with your price. Go ahead, Jason. Some towns you're going to find may have multiple people buying that town, and you're pretty safe to set a really high starting auction price and then let them fight it out. I love that when that happens. It doesn't always happen, but it does quite often. But you're also going to find these towns that there's only one buyer, but that one buyer buys everything. So those cards I will still sell at an auction or start at an auction, but I'll set high, hopefully getting that one buyer in there. Go ahead, Jason. So a quick note on research, 95% of the postcards, I'm just throwing the numbers out there. It could be 93 or 98, but I'd say 95% of the cards that you're going to sell or come across, the place is going to be described on the front or on the back. Somewhere printed on there is going to be the card. With real photo postcards that don't have any identifying information, look at the stamp cancel. We'll show that in a second. The stamp cancel is where the post office cancels that stamp, and it's going to have the name of the town. Usually, the cancel that is directly on the stamp is going to be the sending post office. That's a good indication of where that card's coming from. Is that me echoing, Jason?
I don't hear it, so
okay. I hear a little bit. It's not annoying. I just hear it. There is a site called placesnamed.com. And it's exactly what it is. You can look up any partial, we'll show you here in a second. I'm sorry. But anyway, you can go to placesnamed.com. You can read the message on the back. They may say, hey, I'm vacationing in so-and-so. You can also look at the image under a magnifying glass, look for street names, business names, etc. I actually identified a town by a little, on a window of a building, there was a attorney name, and I looked up that attorney from 1905 or 06 or something like that, and found out that he practiced in this city. And then I did a Google Map street view, and I found those exact buildings. So sometimes there's a lot of sleuthing going on, but I sold that postcard for like 30 bucks. So it was well worth my time. And of course, Google is your friend if you can't find anything. So here's just an example of a stamp cancel that I've used to track down a place. You can see it's kind of missing like half the letters in the middle. It's GR something and then AWN. Go ahead, Jason. So you go to placesnamed.com and you search GR or GRA or GRE or whatever it was, and you can narrow it down. Go ahead, Jason. I was able to narrow this one down to Green Lawn, New York, because I think you could see New York on that one if I'm not mistaken. Maybe you couldn't, but anyway, I narrowed it down. Yeah, you can see it's New York. So I was able to narrow that down to find out that there was a Green Lawn, New York. And now I can list that postcard knowing exactly where that location is. Go ahead, Jason. I bought this card for $1 out of the boxes. Everybody passed this card up. You might be able to see down on the lower left. It actually it tells you where this card is from. I didn't initially see it because in real life it was very hard to make. I think it was written in pencil, but I was able to do some research and find out about Riverboat Lawrence. And on the back, you can see that I think it's Riverside, California, is on the stamp itself. So I thought maybe this is from Riverside, California, but then you can see the Houston, Texas stamp cancel in there also. And then if you read the front of the card, you can see that it was Houston, Texas. But anyway, I used all that information. Good, Jason, next slide. I used all that information and came up with a title: Postcard, Texas, Houston. It's Buffalo Bayou Riverboat Lawrence, 1909, blah, 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 blah. And you can see I turned my dollar into 128 just because, again, I took that time to research that card and set it right. So I like the audio. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll give you a big round of applause. Ready?
So anyway, next slide. You can also use books and price guides. Thing is, the prices aren't going to be current, but you can still find the desirability of that topic or the artist. Great for identification of artists that you may not know. And again, also overall education. I would recommend highly any book by J.L. Mashburn. Go ahead, Jason. These, I just took a picture of from Google Images, so there's going to be some repeat. And I don't know if you can see on me, but there's yeah, these are all my postcard research books here, and a good many of them are Mashburn. You can get these for $6, $7, $8 on eBay or Amazon used. Go ahead, Jason. So when you get these books, you can just open them up, and there's going to have black and white copies of the postcards and the artists and stuff like that. And they'll have a price guide. Again, they're going to be outdated, but still going to show you the desirability of that topic or that artist. Okay, Jason. Another one I recommend, a little more on the expensive side. If you have a library, maybe they have it, you can just pull it out. Just great education about real photo postcards. There's people out there who call them real picture postcards. They're photos and not pictures. But real photo postcard guide, just really good guide and education material. And another one, next slide, Jason, is for large letter postcards. These are some of my favorite postcards. Just again, it just shows you how they made them, the thought process, just education. I know Jason does, has books on tiki and the history of that. This is the same thing. Just learn about what you sell. Go ahead, Jason. Back of the card. Used, unused, written on, stamped, mailed. It usually does not matter and won't affect the price. And sometimes the back of the card is actually more valuable than the scene on the front of the card. When you get into stamps and postal histories, the people who collect stamps and that stuff, sometimes they don't care what's on the front of the card. They're interested in the back. Go ahead, Jason. Sometimes you're going to have famous people's signatures. This is a picture of Jack Dempsey. He was a boxer, and he also owned a restaurant. I can't remember if it's in New York or Chicago, but you can see on that card that there's like an auto pen printed signature on the top. But if you went to the restaurant and he was there, I think he just gave these things out like candy, but he would sign them. I've run into 2 or 3 of these cards, and they sell usually $20, $30 with an actual signature. So look in the back, there might be famous people's signatures. Go ahead. There might be secret codes. Sorry, Jess. Go ahead, put next slide. This is one of my postcards that I sold. Just had this weird code on the back of it. I couldn't read it and didn't try to decipher it, but it was more interesting than the scene that was on the front of the card, and that helped sell the card. Go ahead. There also might be morbid messages. Some of these older cards, it might be, my grandma died of cholera, or not cholera, of whatever, pneumonia. The unnamed baby died from cholera or something like that. So there might be morbid messages on the back, and I would actually put that in the title, morbid death message or something like that. Go ahead. And if you ever see something like this, buy it if it's reasonable. Pretty much anything old that was mailed from China or Hong Kong that looks like this really appeals to the postal history people. I think this is from the late 1800s, and I know this one sold, I think it was either $1,500 or $1,800 for this. So it's, you ever see anything that looks this that has Asian stamps on, just buy it. That you'll make really good money on that. So next. And then I don't know a whole bunch about the stamps themselves. Go ahead, Jason. But what I do is I have this book. It was just something that you might want to add to your collection. The current, I think 2018 or 2017 version of this book is, I think, a couple $100. But the stamps we're going to be dealing with on postcards are 100 years old. I don't think you really need the current 2 days value. You just kind of need an idea of if the stamp you have on the back is worth anything. Most of them are going to be 1 cent George Washington stamps that aren't worth much, but you still might run into weird stamps that you don't know. And this is just for United States stamps. So I would buy an older version of this book if you wanted to get this book. So they're going to be sometimes the stamp cancel will help sell the card. And Jason, how about if we give to the first person to tell me what an RPO is? I'll send them a pack of postcard sleeves and then the mailers I use. So who can tell me what RPO stands for?
I feel like Karnak. RPO.
Shis Boomba.
RPO.
You said really pukey onions.
So Debbie's guess is really pukey onions.
Kim, close, but no cigar.
So Kim's close.
Yeah, well, she got the post office part right.
Okay,
It's the R word.
You're close, Kim. Fix that R word.
I'm gonna give a hint. Choo choo. Choo choo. No.
Red, purple, orange. Yeah, Angela, great. That's it. All right, the hint just went through. I saw it on the feed.
Okay.
Da 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 da. And our winner is not cool. Boom. Marianne Sepperson, Railroad.
Yes. So if you give me your address, and I'll send 100 postcard sleeves and 25 of these great mailers I use. So yes.
All right, Marianne, and I'll take the screenshot because a lot of you said it, and I know everyone's feeds isn't the same as mine, but I did take a screenshot to show that Marianne was first there. In case y'all think I'm pulling shenanigans.
Not radish.
It could be. I always call it railroad, and I'll go with railroad. But I always called it railroad post office. Post office. DPO stands for dead post office. But you're going to get military ships. This is kind of where you need to know some history. The USS Indianapolis that was torpedoed at the end of the war, and all the sailors went into the shark-infested water. I once found a postcard with that on the USS Indianapolis cancel. And again, I think that helps sell the card. And then you're going to run into what's called fancy cancels, and those are across the bottom. Back in the early 1900s, postal employees, you had to cancel that stamp somehow. So what they would do is they would, on a cork, they would carve, intricate designs or faces or foxes or something. They would use those to cancel the stamp. So sometimes you'll see fancy cancels, and people collect those in the postal community. So, next one. Some books that also, if you wanted to learn a lot more about the back of the card, there are 2 books by the same guy. I wouldn't buy the $623 copy when you can get one for $17. This will tell you more than you would ever want to know about the cancels on the back of postcards. I think they're invaluable books. Next one. Let's talk about condition real quick. And the international, go ahead, Jason. I can never remember. The International Federation of Postcard Dealers, they do have a set condition standard, but I always thought condition is subjective. I may think a card is very good. The guy who gets it may think it's only good. So what I do when I list, go ahead, Jason, is I just put a blanket. I'll just say I have sold cards that have just been barely held together. I don't do it often, but sometimes the value of the card, it doesn't matter, really to the person buying it, what the condition is. It could have creases and stuff like that. But usually what I'll put is it's in crappy condition, but it's rare. And you just, put this in your album until you can find a much better sample of it. But I just put just a general blanket statement. eBay doesn't seem to matter. My buyers never really have had a problem with it. Normal wear associated with an old postcard. It might have creases, a corner bump, ink on the front, etc. See the picture for the depiction of condition. Again, that's always worked for me. And the next slide, I put something in the description itself in the body. It just says, see the picture, use that zoom feature that I told you about. and ask me questions. Is that, and sometimes people do, is that a shadow or is that an ink stain? And I answer them. So go ahead, next slide. So I just use a general thing. And then just touch on this briefly because we'll talk about it in a little bit more detail. If you're going to price lots to sell, it kind of depends on what kind of lot you're selling. If you're selling a lot of Santa Clauses and a lot of Halloween cards, you're going to get a much better price than you're going to get if you're selling a lot of Continental Niagara Falls cards. You're going to get a nickel each, maybe, or nothing. But generally, if you're going to sell a mixed lot, you're going to expect about 15 to 25 cents per card. But we'll talk about bulk listing, bulk lots later. Go ahead. If you're listing, you can use that eBay listing form. If you're just going to do a few cards, that's okay. But if you're really going to list, hundreds of postcards, I would highly recommend. I know Turbo Lister really isn't supported, but you can still use it, I believe. I love 6-bit. I know Jason likes InkFrog. Some people use eBay File Exchange. The problem with that is you can only put in one picture. Go ahead, Jason. Then this is why we sorted earlier. That's why I sort into states or topics, so you don't have to keep on changing that subcategory. It took me a while to figure this out, that I was listing here's a Johnstown, Pennsylvania card. Oh, the next card's California. And I was changing all the item specifics, which I don't use a lot of them, but I still want to change the eBay category under postcard, the subcategory to the state or the country or the topic. So it's viewed. I can do about 50 listings in an hour, and my best is about 500 in a very long day, because I do get distracted by shiny objects once in a while. And the research into some of these cards, and this is 50 cards listed with a quick eBay search and a worth point search to figure out value. Go ahead, Jason. I think this next slide, it's up to Jason if he wants to show this video, but it was just a video of me just showing how quickly I can list with 6-bit. I know he went over, InkFrog. It's the same type of thing, but I can list a card under a minute. So I'll leave it up to you, Jason, if you want to do this. Or
so it's tricky showing videos while doing a YouTube show this way. It slows the video down and it isn't smooth. So I watched the video. It's good to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it into the Secret Beach on this pose. So you can watch this and then pause this at this moment, go watch that video, cleaner way, and then come back.
Perfect. That works great. So again, with listing, when I list, I'm sorry, I got distracted. See, I got distracted by watching you talk up top. Let me hide you. When I list, this is what my desk looks like. On the number 1 on the left, I have my whole stack of cards I'm going to be working on. I have my stack of those poly sleeves or the hard plastic top loaders I use. The numbered tab that I'm going to be listing, or that all those cards are going to go into, at least those next 50 cards are going to go into. I use a desktop. I'm sorry, the current card I'm working on is under that magnifying glass because I'm blind. And then they go into number 6, which is that storage box where they're going to be stored. And then I have a great gooseneck spotlight lamp. And I know Jason kind of has those two combined and attached to the desk. I might have to look into that, but I'm cheap. So next slide there, Jason. Every card that I list goes into one of those poly envelopes, poly sleeve. They cost about a penny each or so. The big money cards, they'll go into these plastic top loading holders. I do about 50 cards a tab, and the boxes I have right now, they're called open bay bin boxes. They don't have a lid, but I can fit about 800 in there. Go ahead, next slide, Jason. So when I list, what I do in my title, I start off every listing starts off with a postcard because that's what it is. Then if I'm listing states, I do the abbreviation of the state, or if I'm doing the country, or if I'm doing a holiday, whatever that holiday is. And then my next words are going to be what town or city, or what province or something like that. Then I'll get into specifics. It's going to be, is it a Baptist church, Main Street? And then I'll fill in some other keywords: 1950 cars, drugstore, dressed cat. If it's a real photo and I know the person who took it, I'm going to say, Klein, real photo. Is it a leather card? If I have room, I'll work in the date. And I always save the last three, actually four with a space, the last three digits for my box number or my box letter, and whatever tab I'm using. So go ahead, Jason.
So Hetty wants to know, where do you buy the sleeves? I'm assuming where we can get the best deal.
We're gonna get that. Yeah,
my bad. Jumping ahead.
I thought we're going nerdy level on here. We're getting it. This is going to be everything I know about selling postcards. But anyway, these are just some sample titles: Postcard, Virginia or VA, Jamestown Exposition, Auditorium, 1907 heavy embossed, and then my storage location. Postcard, Valentine's Day, poem, arts and crafts style, and then storage number. So if I have room, I'll spell out the state, but I normally don't. I just use the abbreviations. Go ahead. This is the that magnifying that I showed you. So they're relatively cheap. It is lit, but the light is weak. So these aren't my affiliate links or anything. I'm just showing you what I use and that they're relatively expensive. I don't know how expensive one Jason uses is.
It wasn't cheap, but what's nice here, I'll jump in and
yeah.
And this is a new one because my last one died. Let's see here.
Yeah, that would work great for my purposes. You can just swing it out of the way. This one I actually pick up and have.
Yeah. So this closes, but what's nice on this one, as opposed to most, you can change the temperature of the light two different ways. And so when you're looking at stuff, or sometimes I'll take a picture through the magnifying lens to blow something up. So I want to make sure I have a good light on it. And so I can adjust that to, very like nighttime dim or daylight bright. So that's nice. Cost way more than your little $20 one, but I find it very helpful and useful.
It's a business expense.
And when I'm looking for my contacts that I always drop on the floor, it helps.
This is what I use, and I think I need to probably go to that one. And these are great little jeweler loops. In fact, I just got an order of them in today. They light up. They have a light on there, 30, 60, 90 power. You can do, I think, UV somewhere on here, UV. But these are great for postcards. And we can save the question for last, but I'll give one away to someone today. I got a whole box of them.
Woohoo!
But I have one more trivia question. We can do it at the end. So those are great. You can also, they were unavailable when I pulled this photo, but you can get them on Amazon. I think these were $4 or $5, and so you get 3 of them, and you can throw one in your purse, one in your keychain, whatever. But those are great. Storage and inventory. Go ahead, Jason. Okay, that's my current inventory right there. It's a little bit different from this picture, but you can see that I store by letter, and my older stuff's on the bottom. Just a wire rack. When this thing's completely full up, I think I can have 25 to 30,000 cards just right here. Go ahead, Jason. Just what I do, or if you just gonna sell a couple postcards, a small box. They sell these little boxes like this, for $1 or so. Just something to protect your cards. If you have several hundred, those postcard boxes I showed you, the plastic shoe totes, the open top bin box, if you're going to store them like I do. But I would, if you only have a couple, sort them by state, city, holiday, stuff like that. If you're going to get into a lot of cards, I highly suggest doing an inventory system like box letter and tab number, and limit it to 50 cards. Because when you sell cards and you're trying to find them, it's much easier just to go through 50 cards than 200 cards. Okay, Jason? You can get them at $1. The ones I recommend: Dollar General, Sterilite shoebox, look for the square cornered bottoms. Go ahead, Jason. They're about $1. Sometimes I got my last 40 at Target, I think, for 90 cents or 85. But you can see that these ones, I think these came from Dollar Tree. Still $1, but the bottom is rounded, and it'll bend the bottom of your cards. So avoid the bottom rounded ones. So the postcard box is probably $3 to $5. Go ahead, Jason. These open bay bin boxes, you can buy them in lots of 50 off of Amazon. I got them for about 65 cents each. Go ahead, Jason. Postcard sleeves, so they're $1 or $2 per pack of 100. You can get continental size, which are the bigger 4x6 size. Go ahead, Jason. The same with I already showed you. You go ahead, skip it. This is the plastic top loader. You can get tabs, but you can use really cardboard, whatever. You don't have to buy these tabs for postcards, but they are specifically made for postcard boxes, but you don't necessarily have to use them. Go ahead, Jason. You can get them on eBay, or you can get them on where I get them from, BCW Supplies. If you have a business account, if you have like a seller's or a tax ID, you can set up a business account with these people, and you can buy them cheaper than what you could buy them from other eBay dealers. So it's an option, and they run specials and coupon codes. So just another place to check out for those supplies. But look at eBay too if you only have a couple. If you only need 100 or so sleeves. Go ahead, Jason. This is what my inventory used to look like when I was before I went to the numbering system. Very easy to lose cards. I might file something under Massachusetts, or in this box, I might have filed something mistakenly under Missouri when it should have gone under Massachusetts. And then when I'm rearranging, when I outgrow this box, Missouri ends up going to a different box, and I lost, misplaced or misfiled cards. So what I do now, next slide, this is what my current inventory looks like. Much cleaner, much easier, less tabs. I just go to that tab and find my card. Go ahead, Jason. So this is what my current office looks like, just boxes of boxes everywhere. I do have about 250,000 cards in my office, about 3.
Uh-oh.
Was that an uh-oh?
Yeah, you were frozen for a good 7 seconds, and I'm like,
100.
What happened?
Still there?
Yep. Yeah, it's all right, so let's see here. All right. I think you're good now, John.
Okay. You want me to go back? It was just storage. Just how I store them. We're still good. I see that I'm frozen. Okay.
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. So that's what my current inventory looks like. Now I have about 250,000 cards, 330 boxes, just more of what my storage looks like. And next slide, I think I just show you how I tab the boxes. Yeah, I just label each box, that needs sorted. I've already done the first pull, that I've done the second pull already, and I need to list them all at lot sales. And then just some of the other boxes where I dump some of the other cards that I will eventually sell in a big lot, oversized folders, holiday for, and stuff like that. Go ahead. When I pack and ship, I just use that what's sold and waiting to ship screen on eBay, and that's where that tab number comes in handy. So I'll just pull the E box, and go to tab 12 and pull the E. And if I sold any other E's that day, then I'll just pull out those ones as I have that box down. Then I'll go to box I and pull out those cards, and box F, stuff like that. So I don't have to actually click into the listing or anything. I just use the thumbnail and the title to pull my cards for shipping. Next slide. So yeah, I use that awaiting to ship screen. I sort by record number, low to high, which is older to newer. And I just pull them all at the same time. So I'll have a stack of 20, 30 postcards to go out. Any orders that are more than $25, I put those in hard plastic holder. and I will use the eBay bubble mailer, and I'll use the first class tracking through the post office. I also pack up international sales at that time, and I send international through with these little mailers, and then I'll just mark those as shipped. And I'm going to run something called paid and waiting to ship download request through the file exchange. Go ahead, Jason. You find this through through the Seller Hub, and what I do is it's called file exchange, and I do on the right side it's called create a download request. Go ahead, Jason. And what I do there is I have eBay run a paid and waiting to ship report, and I usually pick all new records since last download, and I submit that, and a couple minutes later, go ahead, Jason. Are you frozen now? Okay.
Nope.
Okay. So what it does, it gives you an Excel spreadsheet with all the information for your buyer, the postcard, where their address, phone number, all that stuff. And I'll use this, and we'll talk about it here in a second. I use a tracking service called lettertrack.com, and I'll use Jason as an example later. I have no affiliation with LetterTrack. I just think it's a great service, but we'll talk about that in a second. So go ahead, Jason.
So what do you do with that first sale that is missing a digit out of the zip code?
It will actually throw no, it will pick up it. There's usually a 0 in front. For some reason, it will not pick up that 0 in front. Yeah, it's a New England state, so it's a 02879.
Gotcha.
The LetterTrack program will actually pick that up, and it's fine. It won't mess it up. Next screen. Since I only need an address, I don't need to print a full label with all the tracking information. I just need an address to ship it to. So eBay doesn't let you do that with their shipping and printing section. 6-bit does. That's one of the reasons I went to 6-bit. They let you just print the shipping label, just the address. And I use that Excel spreadsheet. Like I said, we'll talk about LetterTrack here in a second, but I use that to help input information into LetterTrack. Anytime I have multiple postcards, like one buyer may buy 4 $3 postcards, or actually, whatever, if it gets under $25, but they buy 4 or 5 of them, I put them all in that poly sleeve, and I can fit like 4 postcards in these, and I'll just use a regular stamp, and if I have to go after 4 postcards, it's usually an extra ounce, and I'll just use these extra 21-cent stamps. Go ahead, Jason. I have my label printer that I use is a Dymo 450, just for the address label. It's great, but you could hand print the address label. You could use those Avery address sheets if you wanted to. I just really like my Dymo. Go ahead, Jason. So how I ship, all orders under $25 are shipped in these cardboard photo mailers with a first class stamp, and then I use that lettertrack.com for tracking. All orders that are $25 or more are shipped in one of those hard plastic mailers in a bubble mailer, and I do go through with USPS tracking, but I still ship for free. And then any orders over $100 or more, usually priority flat rate is how I ship. Go ahead, Jason. So these are the mailers that I use. If you're interested in these, look on eBay for that exact title. Echo Swift is the manufacturer. I buy them in 5,000 quantity, so I get them for about 7 cents each. They sell lower quantities than 5,000. You can buy 2,500, whatever. So they might be a little bit more, but they're really good mailers. I've sent out 20,000 plus postcards in these mailers and have had 0 damaged by the post office, which I think is it's amazing, because they're really thin, but they offer great protection. So go ahead, Jason. Stamps. Buy your stamps on eBay. I don't know where these people are getting them. I don't want to know where they're getting them, that they can sell them for 30 some cents. But I buy them I buy thousands and thousands at a time. But I get them for 30. Right now, I think the best deal on eBay is probably about 35 cents. When you buy like 100 of them, you get for 35 cents. And back when eBay had their 25% off of all orders, I bought probably 2 or 3,000 stamps for like 22 cents or something like that. So that's how I can get away with free shipping. Go ahead, Jason. Letter track. No affiliation with this site, but it's awesome if you're selling like I do and you're offering free shipping and you're selling small postcards, stamps, patches, stuff like that. Letter track is this service that if you look at pretty much any first class piece of mail you get in the mail, your bank statement, credit card statement, the birthday card from grandma, it's going to have a barcode on it. Usually the post office puts that on. Somehow this website figured out how to print. Go ahead to the next screen. You can see it. It'll put a barcode above the address. It's called an intelligent mail barcode. This is what the post office scans. And this website, go to the next screen, Jason. This is what the screen looks like. It will assign a tracking number using that barcode, and that tracking number is attached to your letter, and you can follow the progress of your letter through the U.S. mail just with using a stamp. Now, the thing is, eBay will never accept this because the best it's going to show is that it's going to be delivered the next day. It will not show your letter was actually delivered. So eBay will never accept it as final destination delivery. Also, if you call a postal service and say, hey, I got this tracking number, blah, 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 they're going to have no idea what you're talking about because it's not in your normal priority or first class tracking format. So go ahead, Jason. And I think we got a little bit more on that in a couple more slides. Go ahead, next slide. So my shipping, less than 60 cents. If you could go back one more, please.
Oops.
Yeah, less than 60 cents for USA shipping. Those poly sleeves are a penny. These cardboard mailers are 7 cents. My forever stamps are 33 cents. I get a volume discount because, again, I ship out thousands of postcards. So I got a volume discount of 11 cents for that tracking. So my total is 52 cents to ship within the United States. And I build in $1 shipping. So my postcard with free shipping might be $5.99, but there might be someone else selling that same postcard for $4.99, but they're adding on $2 shipping. So I build that in. Go ahead, Jason. And my international shipping is less than $1. Same poly sleeve, same cardboard mailer. For international, you have to use 2 forever stamps and then an extra stamp. It costs $1.21 to ship a letter overseas. So 87 cents in stamps. There is no tracking. So my total is 95 cents. I charge international shipping at $2.50. Again, right or wrong, this is what works for me. I consider that $1.55 as an informal insurance against loss. I don't know. eBay may have rules against that. Again, no one said anything to me. None of the buyers have complained about, $2.50 for shipping. And if a card gets lost, it seems like it's going to get lost going overseas more often than in the United States. Over time, I've built up an extra $1.55 over all the cards, and I just, refund the money and move on. So next slide there, Jason. So talking about lost cards, about 1 in every 500 of my cards are lost in the mail. I chalk it up to there are impatient buyers, but there's also, mail is slower. Sorting centers are closed. They're consolidated. There's no local delivery anymore. If I wanted to send a letter to my next door neighbor, I put it in my mailbox. It's going to go to my local post office. My local post office is then going to ship it off to Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore, Maryland's going to sort it, send it back here. It's going to go to my local post office, and then 3 days later, it shows up in my neighbor's mailbox. So there's no local delivery anymore. At least with this lettertrack.com, it's going to show the buyer, because they get an email and they can follow the tracking. They're going to see that, yes, I did mail it. And what I do is I ask them to be patient and just wait a couple weeks, just because sometimes the postal system has problems. And if it's truly lost, I apologize, I refund, and I move on. And my record late delivery is 2 months to go from Maryland to Boston, a couple hundred miles, 2 months. That is one of the most patient buyers I ever had. So if you go to the next screen, you're going to see if this is the correct screen. Yeah, this card I shipped out March 2nd. Actually, it was scanned through Baltimore in March 2nd. And if I didn't have this letter track program, I'd have never have known this. I probably would have just refunded this guy and moved on. So March 2nd, it starts its trip in Baltimore. Like 2 weeks later, I think it was like on the 14th, or maybe it was even on the 16th of March, the buyers contacts me and said, "Hey, this postcard hasn't showed up yet. I want a refund." And so I type in the letter track, go to letter track site, and I pull up the card. They're like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! This card, for whatever reason, the guy lives in Detroit. So for whatever reason, the Postal Service sent this card from Baltimore, Maryland to Texas, and it spun around Texas for 3 days. And then finally it got kicked loose and went to Detroit. And I sent Jason a stack of Hawaii postcards, a month ago or so. And I watched his postcards go from Maryland to, what is it, South Dakota? I think it was South Dakota before it went to Vegas. I'm thinking, oh, great. I hear I'm sending Jason cards and they're not going to show up. But Jason was able to follow the progress of these cards and see that they're at least on the way to him. So I think that it's great. The buyers know that the card's coming. So go ahead, next screen there, Jason. So if it's truly lost, just remember, you probably only paid $0.25 for this card or less. I personally don't care about top-rated seller. In my opinion, the discount's not worth the hoops you all have to jump through for it. You can still sell postcards and keep your top-rated seller. You can either charge more for shipping, but really, what would you rather buy? Would you spend $6 with free shipping, or $8, $9 for that exact same card? If it doesn't show up, you're getting your money back anyway. So just it's a personal preference for me. I don't care about top-rated, and I ship my cards for free without real tracking. So go ahead, Jason. So if after everything you've learned, what to look for, how to sell them, and you're just like, ugh, postcards, I can't do it, contact me first. That's my email. I may be interested in your cards. Just keep in mind, though, I may only pay 15 cents to $0.25 per card, but I'm interested in postcards, buying lots. So keep my contact information. Next slide there, Jason. But if you don't want to contact me and you want to sell your lot of postcards on eBay, just remember, title, I'd work in these words: huge, large lot of how many postcards you have, 400, 1,000, whatever. Make sure you put postcards in there, because that's what they are. Is it a mix of USA and foreign? And if you have room, work in RPPC, real photo postcard. If you have real photo postcards in your lot, work that in there. UDB is undivided back, chrome, holiday. Is it a collection? Pounds, 6 pounds, 4 pounds, however it is. And then in your description, give more information. Just do a general breakdown. You don't have to count 1,000 cards out and divide them. Okay, this is 49% chrome. This is 51% linen. Just generalities. What's in here? Percentage of foreign to USA cards, because like I said, most foreign sell less than USA cards. Percentage of holidays, greetings to state views. Then other specifics. This collection belonged to my great grandmother, who collected postcards for 20 years. It includes nice Santas, dressed bunnies, real photos, street views, stuff like that. And then the method of counting. How did you come up with 600 postcards? Did you count out each one? And I counted out 600 postcards. Or did you weigh them? This was 6 pounds of postcards, or I took a stack of 100 and put equal stacks around it and came up with 600. So just generalities of that in the description. Go ahead, Jason. Pictures. That very first picture you lead off with should be, go ahead and click, Jason. That first picture should be the whole stack or your whole box of cards. These are good. This shows you all the cards you're getting. It's just a general view that you're getting that stack. And then go ahead, Jason. All your other cards, Use up all your 11 remaining card photos, and show as many of the cards you're selling as possible. Go ahead, and Jason, this next slide, you're going to see this is pretty good. There's about 30 cards or so. And if you use up all your 11 remaining photos, you've got 330 cards that you can show your buyer. And you can just set them out and just stack one on top of each other. You can do it really quick. So, but just show as many cards as you can. Go ahead, Jason. And the pictures, this is just general eBay 101 selling. Pictures need to be clear and not blurry. Go ahead, Jason. This is probably one of the better blurry ones, but as a buyer, this does me absolutely no good. And it just looks, some of these buyers or sellers, it looks like they smear Vaseline on their photo, on their lens of their camera, and it's just atrocious. I'm not going to spend my time to try to figure out what these are. You saw the value of good photos in that buy I did off eBay. It didn't help the buyer, but it definitely helped the seller. Or I'm sorry, it didn't help the seller, it helped the buyer, definitely, but this helps no one. So highlight as many good cards as you can, but you got to make sure you show some of the crappy ones too. You don't want to have 3 or 4 pictures of all real photos, and those are the only 30 cards you show, but the other 400 are Niagara Falls cards. If I get that, I'm going to be pissed as a buyer that I got 30 great cards, but 400 and some crappy ones. And just make sure you use up your pictures. This seller's going to have nothing but problems, because when you see this, when I look at this picture, it's like, oh, am I getting all 4 boxes? Well, I know but he says 1,000 cards, but I know there's only 700 cards per box, but that's 2,800 cards shown. What do I get? He has 25 of them, but this seller, I think, is going to have problems because he's not very clear. The pictures really don't match what you're going to expect to get. So go ahead, and Jason. And you got to be realistic if you're going to sell your lots of postcards. This seller is trying to sell 10,000 postcards for $1.65 each, so $16,500 for these cards. And you can see across the bottom they included 3 pictures, and none of them show you what card you're getting. So I think this is still listed. It's been on there for a couple months. So you got to be realistic about what to expect. Go ahead, Jason. If you have Santa Clauses, dressed bunnies, yeah, you might get $3 a card, but you got to have pretty good cards. Go ahead, Jason. If you have small town, real photos of a small town, you might get a couple bucks per card. Go ahead, Jason. And then if you have Halloween, I don't know about these next Halloween cards, but these sold for 40 some dollars each. You got to have some really special cards to command that price. So, but realistically, expect 15 to 30 cents per card, and that might even be on the high. I like it when I get them for 6 cents a card, but usually it's 15 to 30 cents average. Go ahead, Jason. And a shipping tip: never, ever ship postcards loose in a padded or poly mailer. I've received countless cards that way, and every corner is just bent and some are creased, and it's horrible. So ship them in a box. You can still do it like a FOMO method type thing, shove them in a flat rate bubble mailer, but put it in a box first. And if you can't do that, take a stack of 100 or so, wrap it in, piece of typewriter or printer paper or bubble wrap, just so they stay together and they don't go flying everywhere. So go ahead, Jason. Just some other selling sites to consider. Obviously, eBay. They have 3.6 million postcards listed on eBay right now. eBay UK, 4.1 million. Go ahead, Jason. Sorry, Hip Postcard is another site I list on. They have 2.5 million postcards listed. It's probably more. It's growing pretty quick. It used to be called BidStart. They had some problems when they were BidStart, and they had a revamp, and now they're Hip Postcard. Go ahead, Jason. What I like about them is they automatically sync with my eBay listing. So I have about 18,000 on eBay, but those same cards are also listed on hippostcard.com. And if it ends on either site, it's taken off of either site. So I like that site because it automatically syncs. Go ahead, Jason. Another site you can skip, delcamp.com. It's the younger sibling of delcamp.net. Delcamp.com is the United States version, and they have about 1.4 million postcards listed. Go ahead, Jason. They also sell, you can list stamps and coins on there, but they're related to the next site is delcamp.net. I'm sorry, there's no automatic sync on delcamp.com. So that's why I don't use them. Delcamp.net is an international, worldwide sellers, 47.4 million postcards currently listed. And the small majority of those, or small minority of those, are United States cards. Most of them are international foreign cards. Go ahead, Jason. So they also have how many? 22 million stamps or something like that, and 1 million coins. So if you have international cards you want to sell, selling on delcamp.net might be the way to go. Next slide. They used to have a third-party sync app, but they got rid of that, so I no longer sell on here. So go ahead, next slide. Plail.com, they have about 900,000 postcards. Go ahead, Jason. This is what the site looks like. This is good for research up under the Deltiology. This is where you can find the real photo identification guide. Next slide. Bonanza.com, 170,000. Go ahead, Jason. I've never listed on here, but people sell postcards on here. Next, I believe, is Etsy, also 86,000. Not that much, but people still sell old postcards, vintage postcards on I guess under the collectibles category. I haven't done that either. Next one, Amazon. It says you go click to the next slide. They say 50,000 postcards, but I think it says over 50,000 postcards. Our good friend cardcow.com has all his cards over there, and I know he has 500,000. So there's got to be 1 million plus postcards on Amazon. So just another outlet for you to sell at. Go ahead, Jason. And also Ruby Lane, I'm not on there, but just OfferUp, Let Go, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. I've tried to buy postcards off of Facebook Marketplace, but we just haven't been able to sync. And selling at postcard shows. That's one thing I'm getting ready to do with 250,000 cards. They're all not eBay worthy. And to me, eBay worthy is, $5+. So cards that I'm going to be selling at postcard shows, I'm going to sell them for $1 or $0.25. And to me, those are cards that might sell for $5 or lower. But again, as I said earlier, that someone may find $1 card in here that I didn't think was worth more than $1, and they could turn it around and sell it. But so I think that's about it, Jason. I'm not sure if I got any more slides. No questions. Popeye's postcards at AOL. We can do this last giveaway real quick, Jason. Then I can take any questions if we got the time. I'm not sure where we are on.
Yeah, we got one or two, but yeah. So we have one more giveaway.
Okay. And my question is, who is Popeye's girlfriend?
Who is Popeye's girlfriend? Who?
She might be up behind me. She's up here. I got something. She's behind my head. There she is.
Damn. Susan's got it. Susan was the first one with olive oil.
So give me your address and I'll send you one of these great. These are awesome magnifiers. So I'll send you a brand new one in a box. So
we do have a couple questions.
Okay.
Marianne said she recently traveled most of the California missions, and I picked up multiple postcards at each. Should I list them individually or group each mission?
Great question. It almost depends on what mission, because there are some missions. Capistrano, the one with the swallows, I've always had good luck with those ones individually. I think the one in Santa Barbara, and there might be more of them, but it might be Mission Santa Barbara. I think those are good individually. I would try them individually first, $5-6 each. If they don't sell, then you list them together in a lot and maybe only get, a quarter each or 50 cents each or something like that. But I try every one of them individually. If you got some type of store subscription, you got auctions for free, give it a whirl.
And then Jim wanted to know if there's a point where postcards and tiki overlap. So I will take that one because you just sent me a whole slew of new postcards, and I thank you for that. So there will be specific tiki, which I'll show in a second, but obviously old Hawaiian stuff works in. So here's a postcard of the Outrigger hotels back in, I don't have a date on here, but it did have the full phone number and the full zip code. So not super old. And then these are a little bit older. Again, this is one of the beaches in Honolulu. And Peg and Betty were on vacation and sent a postcard back home. And look, it was National Flag Day when the thing was stamped. That's kind of cool. And then another hotel. And then forewarning, they're about to be boobies. These you will always find in home tiki bars, all the old school topless Polynesian girls. And straight up tiki. Trader Vic's postcards. Yep.
We didn't see the boobies, Jason.
Oh, what?
Oh, there they are.
Oh.
I saw it. Okay.
So this was the Trader Vic's at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And for those of you at the Secret Beach Bash, although they weren't dressed like this, we did have a full roasted pig, or actually two. So yeah, those things definitely cross over. And from a collector standpoint, so John's been talking about a seller standpoint. From a collector standpoint, I always am looking for these. And unfortunately, most postcard sellers don't have like a tiki grouping. So they'll have Hawaii and they'll have restaurant and stuff like that. And so I'm here to tell all the postcard sellers of the world, hey, have a little tiki grouping, because I'll go right to that. Because I don't give a shit about tractors in Iowa, but I do care about these.
Yeah. And that's something to keep in mind. I say I avoid those continental, those bigger size cards, but I got to keep in mind that, like the tiki people, they want those specific groupings, and it's just something that I probably wouldn't sell, that I'll just throw in a big lot for other people to deal with. But I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, because I've been known to sit down, because I've seen it, I think, twice, where they actually had a little tiki heading. I'm like, cool. And then because I think I found those early on, I thought every postcard seller would have one. And then I'm always like, hey, man, where's your tiki heading? And they just look at me and go, what? So, I won't buy many other postcards, so I'll never really sit there as a buyer. But, man, if you had a little tiki heading with, like, the different bars, restaurants, the topless Polynesian girls, the hotels in Hawaii, I would look through all that, and I would buy probably a ton.
Excellent.
So there you go. There's a little tip from me to you. Oh, Chris has a question. I have a bunch of stereo viewer cards from a consignor. Do the same subject rules apply? I know Civil War is hot, but do the postcard rules apply for other subjects? I am overwhelmed.
Yeah, I've sold stereo views, but the ones I've looked for, pretty much the same postal rules, like the real photos. They are real photo stereo views. Some are litho printed. And I personally just go, if I find with like a street view or foreign, and again, I stick with the Asian countries on stereo views. So I have bought them. To me, they are slow sellers individually, but I've sold them before.
Cool. All right, well, I think that's all the questions, and that was an amazing part 2. Now, I was thinking about a part 3, so I'm not sure if it's gonna be a Secret Beach or maybe a Thrifty Business or something. But once you've got a few postcard conventions under your belt where you're selling,
okay.
I sell at tiki convention, so I think we put a panel together of people who sell at very specific, things like that, and kind of compare what we do the same. Like, we all got to make our booth look pretty, and then the differences and stuff. And tiki conventions are much more exciting because there's rum cocktails. Postcard conventions are probably a lot quieter.
Yeah, they are.
So I think that could be a good, because a lot of people have never, we all sell online, but a lot don't throw their tables and their credit card readers into their back of their truck and go sell somewhere. And it is a way to make money. And it's a way also while you're there to source, because at the last tiki event I vended at, I bought an item from the guy next to me for $25. I listed it last night and I woke up to the sale this morning for $225. So tune in to Thrifty Business on Thursday to see that.
Yeah, I started, I know we're going long here, but I started, you can see probably right here, quarter boxes and dollar boxes. So I started sorting. These are going to go to shows here.
There you go.
My first show I'm going to do is in October. I got a lot to do till then, before then.
Yeah, so I'm assuming you're planning on anyway, but take some pictures, you know,
Yes.
have some shots of your booth. I did the last time I did it before and after, where I spun like Wonder Woman. So it was an empty area and then it was done.
I gotta tell you, postcard booths are extremely boring because they don't require anything to really fluff them up. It's just postcards. That's why we're there.
So it's up to you to make postcards exciting. You'll be the youngest one there, so it's up to you. All right. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for all the help and expertise you give on postcards in the Secret Beach. I know everyone loved your first one, and like I said, I'll make sure that these are sitting next to each other so those who are newer can find both of them. And I will put up the video of you listening on 6-Bit as the little side part there. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. And like I said, Thrifty Business will be on Thursday at 6 o'clock. And we're having one of the finalists. They didn't win, unfortunately, but one of the finalists from the Shine Awards. And he sells vacuum cleaners. And so he goes to thrift stores and only looks for one thing. But after talking to Debbie and myself, he goes, while I'm at the thrift store, I might as well learn other stuff too. So it should be an interesting conversation, because kind of like John, you have like one thing you're looking for, and so does this guy. But now he's like, I'm going to find some other stuff.
Perfect.
And thank you to my question taker, and Debbie's asleep somewhere, and there's Stephanie, and the Toach is asleep underneath the bed. So thank you, Beachcombers. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys all on Thursday night.
Bye.